Whoa. Sounds like someone rolled a natural 20. Welcome, adventurers, to a deep dive designed specifically for you, whether you're a seasoned dungeon delver or maybe just thinking about rolling your first D20.
Yeah.
Today, we're strapping on our armor and diving headfirst into the thrilling, sometimes perplexing, but always epic world of Dungeons & Dragons combat.
Exactly. And, forget just knowing how to swing a sword. We're going to unpack the mechanics underneath it all, straight from the core rules.
Right.
Our mission today is really to make these rules make sense, revealing not just what you do in a fight, but the why behind it all. Get ready for some aha moments that'll, level up your game.
Because let's face it, those heart-pounding moments in combat, that's where the best D&D stories happen, right?
Totally.
When you really get how the rules work, you can move beyond just reacting and start, crafting truly strategic and memorable fights.
We're going to break down the complexities into, easy-to-digest bits, maybe a few surprises, too. And I'm here to give a bit of context, sort of connect the dots between the different combat rules. We'll explore how it all fits together, give you a more intuitive feel for the flow of battle and the thinking behind the game's design.
All right, so you're facing down a fearsome beastie. Where does the chaos even begin?
Okay, the foundation, the absolute bedrock, is the round and the turn. Think of a round as like a 6-second slice of game time.
6 seconds. Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, it's a flurry of activity where everyone gets a chance to do something. Within that 6-second round, each creature involved takes their individual turn.
Okay, so it's not just a big, messy dog pile. There's an order.
Absolutely. And the order, well, that's determined right at the start by rolling initiative. Before anyone even throws a punch, everyone's characters, monsters, makes a dexterity check.
Right, the dex check.
Higher the roll, the earlier your turn comes up in the order. And that order stays the same for the whole fight, round after round.
Initiative, that crucial D20 roll. It's like a reflex test, right? Who jumps in first?
Precisely. Now, even before initiative, the DM often figures out if anyone is surprised.
Ah, surprise.
Yeah, imagine you're sneaking. Maybe the goblins didn't spot you. They might be surprised. If you're surprised, you basically lose your first turn. Can't move, can't take an action.
Ouch.
And you can't even use reactions until that turn is over. What's interesting is, maybe only some of the group is surprised. The paladin clanking in heavy armor, maybe he's spotted, but the sneaky rogue, still hidden, ready to go.
That makes total sense. The scout's ready, but the guard's still, blinking. Okay, so surprise is sorted, everyone's kind of positioned.
Yeah.
Then the initiative dice roll. What's the DM do?
Well, for a group of identical monsters, say a pack of wolves, the DM usually just rolls initiative once for the whole group.
Okay, so all the wolves go together.
Exactly. They share the same spot in the order, but for you players, each person rolls for their own character. Then the DM lines everyone up, highest roll to lowest, and like I said, that order generally sticks for the whole fight.
Highest roll goes first. Simple enough. But what if two people roll the same number? Initiative standoff.
Good question. If it's a tie between players, you guys just decide who goes first. Easy.
Right.
If it's a tie between monsters the DM is running, the DM decides. And if it's a player and a monster tied, the DM can either decide or there's an optional rule. Everyone tied rolls another d20, highest roll wins the tiebreak.
Okay, so ways to sort it out.
Yeah.
Right, we know who goes when. Finally, it's my turn. What can I actually do?
So on your turn, you've got two main things. Movement and an action. You can move up to your speed, that number on your character sheet.
Right.
And you get one action. The cool part is you choose the order. Move then act then move. Or even break it up. Move a bit, take your action, then move the rest of your distance.
The tactical dance.
Yeah.
Not just standing there trading hits. I can weave and strike. What kind of actions? Just attacking.
Attacking is definitely a big one. Swing a sword, fire an arrow, cast a damaging spell, but there's way more. You could use the dash action to move extra distance.
Double movement, right?
Yep. Disengage lets you back away from someone without getting hit for free. Dodge makes you harder to hit. Help gives an ally an edge. Hide. Well, you're trying to hide. Ready lets you set up a reaction for later. Search lets you look for stuff. And use an object covers interacting with things. We'll dig into those more later.
Okay, one action. Movement up to my speed. Solid foundation. But I've heard about bonus actions. What's the deal there?
Right. Bonus actions, they're extra actions you get from specific things, class features, spells, maybe a magic item. Think of them as quick extra things you can do.
Like the rogue's cunning action.
Exactly like cunning action. Rogues can use a bonus action to dash, disengage, or hide. Super useful. Key things. You only get one if something specifically says you do, and you only get one per turn even if multiple things could give you one.
Only one. Got it.
Oh, and if something stops you from taking actions like being stunned, you can't take bonus actions either.
Makes sense. So beyond moving, taking an action, maybe a bonus action, are there other little things I can do, like talking?
Absolutely. That falls under other activity. These are minor things that don't cost your action or movement. You can definitely shout a quick warning, make a gesture.
Taunt the goblin.
Yeah, probably. And you can interact with one object or feature for free, like opening an unlocked door as you run past, drawing your sword as you move to attack, grabbing a potion off your belt.
Oh, that's super useful. So like pulling out my sword doesn't waste my whole attack.
Nope. Drawing or sheathing a weapon is usually free. Opening an unlocked door or chest, grabbing a potion from your pack, picking up something you dropped, taking trinket off a table. The rules list a bunch of examples.
Okay.
But the DM makes the call. If it's more complex, like trying to kick down a stuck door or turn a big rusty crank, that might take your full action.
Right. Common sense applies. Effort dictates cost. Okay, let's shift gears. Reactions. Those happen outside my turn, right?
Correct. Reactions are instant responses to specific triggers. Could happen on your turn, could happen on someone else's. You only get one reaction per round.
One per round, not per turn.
Per round, correct. Once you use it, you don't get another until the start of your next turn. The most common one is the opportunity attack. We'll definitely get into that.
Okay.
And if your reaction interrupts someone else's turn, they just pause, you do your reaction, and then they continue where they left off.
Okay, so rounds, turns, surprise, initiative, actions, bonus actions, free stuff, reactions. That's the basic rhythm. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of movement. Moving up to my speed. How flexible is that?
Oh, very flexible. Use as much or as little as you want. Break it up. Move 10 feet, attack, move another 20. If you're, say, a fighter with extra attack, you could move, attack one guy, move again, attack a different guy. Totally possible. And if you have different speeds, like walking and flying, you can switch mid-move. Just got to keep track of how much total distance you've used.
Cool. So repositioning for a better shot after the first swing. Nice. But what if the battlefield's all messed up, like rubble or something?
Ugh. Difficult terrain. The classic adventurer obstacle. Yep. Things like rubble, thick bushes, deep snow, slippery ice. Moving through that stuff costs extra.
How much extra?
Double. Every foot of movement through difficult terrain costs 1 extra foot. So moving 5 feet through rubble actually uses 10 feet of your speed.
Oof.
And interestingly, moving through another creature's space, even in allies, also counts as difficult terrain.
Really? Even friendly space? Okay, that slows things down. What about getting knocked down, being prone?
Yep, prone. You can actually choose to drop prone on your turn without using any speed. A good way to get cover from arrows sometimes.
Smart, but getting up?
Getting up costs movement. Half your speed, actually. So if your speed is 30 feet, it costs 15 feet just to stand up. If you don't have enough movement left or your speed is 0, you're stuck on the ground. And moving while you're prone means crawling. Crawling costs extra movement too, 1 extra foot per foot crawled. Just like difficult terrain, so crawling through difficult terrain, super slow.
Yeah, sounds painful. Definitely don't want to stay prone long.
Yeah.
You mentioned those free interactions again. Could you give a few more examples, just to make it really clear?
Sure. Let's see. Okay. Imagine you're charging a wolf. As you run up, you draw your sword-free interaction. Then you swing your action. Maybe as you run past, you kick a pebble at another wolf. Probably another free interaction.
Yeah.
Or a rogue in a trapped room. Takes a vial off their belt free. Carefully pours some liquid on a pressure plate. That might be their action, depending. Pockets the empty vial free again. Other common ones. Sheathing your weapon. Opening an unlocked chest. Taking a swig of a potion you're holding. Picking up a key. Grabbing a rope. Little things that add flavor without costing your main action.
Those really help visualize it. Okay, navigating around other people. What are the rules there?
Okay. Generally, you can move through a non-hostile creature's space. No problem, though it's still difficult terrain, remember?
Right.
But moving through a hostile creature's space, much harder. You can only do that if the hostile creature is at least 2 sizes larger or smaller than you.
So like a human can move through a giant space or a tiny pixie space.
Exactly, but not through another human-sized goblin's space. And really important, you can never willingly end your turn in another creature's space, friend or foe. Gotta have your own square.
Right, no sharing squares, and definitely not trying to stand inside the angry ogre. Okay, getting away from the angry ogre.
Yeah.
That's where opportunity attacks happen, yeah.
That's the main time, yes.
Yeah.
If you're in melee reach of a hostile creature, and you use your movement to leave their reach, they get a chance to smack you on the way out.
Ouch. A free hit.
Yep. It uses their reaction, and it's one melee attack right as you're moving away. But
Right.
there are ways around it. Taking the disengage action is the main one.
Yeah.
Also, if you teleport away or if something else moves you, like a spell pushing you or an explosion throwing you back, you don't provoke one. It has to be using your own movement, action, or reaction.
So disengage is my I need to back up safely button.
Yeah.
Got it. What about flying? Sounds great, but you mentioned risks.
Flying is amazing for getting around it, yeah. Ignore difficult terrain, bypass enemies. But the big risk is falling. If a flying creature gets knocked prone,
Uh-oh.
or if its speed gets reduced to 0, or it somehow loses the ability to fly, like if the magic holding it up ends, it falls. Unless it has the ability to hover, like a beholder, or some magic is specifically keeping it up, falling from high up can mean a lot of damage.
Yikes. Okay, note to self. Don't get knocked prone while flying. Let's talk size. A halfling versus a giant. How does that work on the grid?
Right, so every creature takes up a certain amount of space on the battlefield. It's not their exact physical size, more like the area they control. There's a table. Tiny creatures are like 2.5 by 2.5 feet. Small and medium creatures, like humans and halflings, usually control a 5 by 5 foot space.
Okay, one standard square on most grids.
Exactly. Large creatures, like ogres, take up 10 by 10 feet, so 4 squares. Huge is 15 by 15, 9 squares. And gargantuan is 20 by 20 or even bigger.
So that space determines how much room they need to fight effectively.
Pretty much. And it also affects how many enemies can surround someone. You can get, 8 medium creatures around another medium creature in melee?
Yeah, sounds about right.
But try surrounding that medium creature with large ogres. Maybe only 4 can fit. Size really dictates positioning.
Interesting. What if I need to get through a really tight spot, like a narrow crawl space?
Squeezing. You can try to move through a space that's only big enough for a creature one size category smaller than you. So a medium human could try to squeeze through a 2.5 foot wide gap meant for a small creature.
But there's a catch, I bet.
Oh yeah, big catches. While squeezing, every foot of movement costs an extra foot, so it's like difficult terrain. Plus, you have disadvantage on attack rolls and dexterity saving throws.
Ouch.
And enemies attacking you have advantage while you're squeezing. It's slow, dangerous, and generally something you only do if you absolutely have to.
Yeah, sounds like a last resort. Okay, lots of people use grids and minis. Any specific rules for that?
Yep, the rules cover playing on a grid. Usually each square is 5 feet. So speed 30 feet means you can move 6 squares.
Makes sense.
Entering any square costs at least 1 square of movement. Difficult terrain squares cost 2 squares to enter. Diagonals usually cost 1 square too, though some groups use a variant where every other diagonal costs 2, and you generally can't move diagonally through a solid corner. For range, you just count squares.
So the grid just helps visualize everything.
Cool.
Okay, back to actions. We listed a bunch earlier. Can we dive into those common ones a bit more, like strategically?
Let's do it. Your action is your main thing each turn. Attack is the obvious one. Swing, shoot, make 1 attack. If you have extra attack, like a fighter.
You get more swings with 1 action.
Exactly. Multiple attacks for just 1 action. Cast a spell is how most casters do their thing, though check the casting time. Some take longer than 1 action. Dash, use your action to get extra movement equal to your speed. Great for closing distance or running away fast.
Right.
Disengage, use your action, so your movement for the rest of the turn doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Crucial for getting out of melee safely. Dodge, use your action to focus purely on defense. Until your next turn starts, attacks against you have disadvantage, and you get advantage on dex saves. Really good when you know you're about to get hit a lot.
Dodge sounds smart when you're surrounded. What about helping my buddy out?
That's the help action. 2 ways to use it. You can help someone with an ability check, giving them advantage on their roll if they make it before your next turn.
Like helping someone climb a wall.
Yep. Or, in combat, you can use help to distract an enemy within 5 feet. If you do, the next attack roll made by one of your allies against that enemy has advantage, as long as it happens before your next turn. Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, sneaky rogue time. Hide.
Right. Use your action, make a dexterity stealth check. You need cover or obscurity to hide from someone. If you succeed, you're hidden, which means enemies might not be able to see you, giving you advantages.
But attacking gives me away.
Usually, yeah, even if you miss, making an attack typically reveals your position. So strike from the shadows, then maybe use movement to find a new hiding spot.
Got it. What about setting up an ambush? Or waiting for the right moment?
That's the ready action. You use your action to set a trigger, something specific you can perceive happening. Like if the cultist pulls that lever,
Okay.
then you choose one action, like making an attack or movement up to your speed, that you'll use your reaction to take immediately when that trigger happens. So I shoot him with my crossbow.
So you use your action now to get a reaction later.
Exactly. If you ready a spell, you actually cast it and then hold the energy, which usually requires concentration. If concentration breaks before the trigger, the spell fizzles.
Ooh, risky for spells.
Yeah.
Okay, what about finding hidden doors or traps?
Search action. You focus your attention on looking for something specific. The DM will likely ask for a wisdom perception check to spot things, or maybe an intelligence investigation check to figure out how a mechanism works, or deduce where something might be hidden.
And last one, use an object. Why is that an action if I get a free interaction?
You use an object action if you want to interact with more than one object on your turn, or if the object itself requires more complex manipulation. Think activating a magic item, maybe pouring a potion down an unconscious friend's throat, pulling a complex lever, stuff beyond just opening a door or drawing a sword.
Okay, that makes sense. That covers a ton of options. But what if I want to do something totally crazy, something not on the list, like try to swing on a chandelier?
Huh. Absolutely try it. The rules encourage improvisation. Tell the DM what you want to do. If it sounds plausible, the DM will figure out if it's possible and what kind of roll, probably an ability check like dexterity, acrobatics. For the chandelier, you need to make to see if you pull it off. Thinking outside the box is awesome.
Cool. So be creative, right? I've got my action. I've picked my target. How do I actually hit them? Break down the attack roll.
Okay, making an attack. 3 basic steps. 1, choose a target. Got to be in range, usually got to be able to see him. Could be a creature, could be an object.
Step 1, pick victim. Got it.
Step 2, determine modifiers. The DM figures out if anything helps or hinders you. Does the target have cover? Do you have advantage or disadvantage for some reason? Any bonuses from spells or magic weapons?
Okay, figure out the situation.
Step 3, resolve the attack. Roll a d20, add your relevant modifiers. If the total meets or beats the target's armor class, their AC you hit, then you usually roll damage.
And that attack roll is D20 plus. What modifiers again?
Usually it's d20 plus your ability modifier, strength for most melee weapons, dexterity for ranged weapons, and finesse melee weapons, plus your proficiency bonus if you're proficient with the weapon you're using. Spell attacks use your spellcasting ability modifier plus proficiency bonus.
Okay, D20 plus ability mod plus proficiency bonus versus AC. Got it. And you mentioned rolling a 1 or a 20 is special.
Big time. Roll a natural 20, the die shows 20, automatic hit, doesn't matter how high the AC is, and even better, it's a critical hit. More damage.
Ooh, crits.
On the other hand, roll a natural 1, the die shows 1. Automatic miss. Doesn't matter how low the AC is or how high your bonus is. Fumble.
Ah, the dreaded nat 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so nat 20 good, nat 1 bad. What about not being able to see stuff? How does that affect hitting?
Visibility is huge. If you attack a target you can't see, you roll with disadvantage. Makes sense, right? Hard to hit what you can't see.
Yeah.
Conversely, if a creature can't see you, you have advantage on attack rolls against them. They can't dodge effectively if they don't know you're swinging. And remember, if you attack while hidden, you give away your position, hit or miss.
Right, the arrow gives you away.
Sure.
Okay, attacking from afar.
Right.
Ranged attacks. What's key there?
Ranged attacks use bows, crossbows, thrown stuff. Some spells, they have ranges listed, often a normal range and a long range.
Okay.
Attack within normal range, standard rule. Attack beyond normal range, but still within long range. Disadvantage, harder to hit further away. Attack beyond long range, you just can't do it. Some attacks, like certain spells, just have one maximum range.
And didn't you say something about shooting when someone's right next to you?
Yep, crucial rule. If you make a ranged attack while there's a hostile creature within 5 feet of you and that creature can see you and isn't incapacitated, you have disadvantage on that ranged attack roll. It's tough to line up a shot with someone menacing you up close.
Ah, okay. So back up before you shoot. What about getting right in their face? Melee attacks.
Melee is up close and personal, usually within 5 feet, though some creatures or weapons have longer reach. Swinging swords, axes, hammers, or using natural weapons like claws or bites.
Can I just punch someone?
Yep, that's an unarmed strike. It's a melee attack, deals 1 point of bludgeoning damage plus your strength modifier. You're always considered proficient with your fists, kicks, headbutts, whatever.
Good old fisticuffs.
Yeah.
And this is where opportunity attacks really matter, right?
Yeah.
In melee.
Exactly. That rule about getting a free swing when someone moves out of your reach, that's primarily a melee thing. They try to walk away, you get that reaction attack, unless they disengage or teleport or get pushed away.
Right. Don't just turn your back on an enemy. What about fighting with two weapons, like a rogue or ranger might?
Two-weapon fighting. Okay, specific rules here. If you take the attack action and attack with a light melee weapon in one hand,
Light weapon, okay.
you can use your bonus action that same turn to attack with a different light melee weapon in your other hand.
So, two attacks.
Nice! But here's the catch. You don't add your ability modifier to the damage of that bonus attack unless the modifier is negative, which is rare. So the second hit is usually a bit weaker.
Okay. Still an extra chance to hit, though. Can I throw one of them?
Yep. If the light weapon has the thrown property, you can make that bonus attack as a ranged attack by throwing it instead.
Cool. Okay, sometimes it's not about damage, it's about control. Grappling and shoving, how do those work?
Right, special melee attacks. You use your attack action, but instead of a normal attack, you try to grapple or shove. Replaces one attack if you have multiple. For grappling, you need at least one free hand. Target has to be within reach, and no more than one size larger than you.
So a human can't grapple a giant.
Nope. You make a strength athletics check. The target resists with either their strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics, their choice.
Okay, a contest.
If you win, they're grappled. Their speed becomes 0, so they're stuck. They can use their action on their turn to try and break free with another contested check. If you try to move while grappling someone, your speed is halved, unless they're tiny compared to you.
So grappling holds them still. What about shoving?
Shoving is similar. Use an attack, same size restriction, no more than one size larger. Make a strength athletics check, contested by their strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics.
Same contest.
Yep. If you win, you have two choices. Either knock the target prone, flat on the ground,
Oh, nice.
or push them 5 feet directly away from you. Great for pushing people off ledges or just creating space.
So grapple to hold, shove to move, or knock down. Very tactical. Okay, how do we avoid getting hit? Cover.
Cover is super important for defense. Any obstacle between you and an attacker can grant cover. There are 3 types, and you only get the benefit of the best one if multiple apply. Half cover. Think a low wall, big furniture, maybe another person, gives you a +2 bonus to your AC and dexterity saving throws.
Okay, +2. Decent.
3/4 cover, better obstacle. Maybe firing through an arrow slit behind a thick tree trunk gives a hefty +5 bonus to AC and dex saves.
Wow, +5 is huge.
It really is. And finally, total cover. You're completely behind something solid. An enemy can't target you directly with attacks or most spells. Area effects might still get you, though, if they wrap around the cover.
Though ducking behind that pillar is a really good idea. Okay, but hits happen. Let's talk damage and hit points.
Right. Hit points. They represent your health, your stamina, your will to live, even luck. Damage reduces your current hit points. Doesn't really affect you otherwise until you hit 0. When you hit, you roll damage dice listed for the weapon or spell, add relevant modifiers like strength for a sword, maybe a bonus from a magic weapon. Minimum damage is 0, can't go negative. If an attack hits multiple targets, you roll damage once and apply it to all of them.
And critical hits. That nat 20 again.
Yes. Critical hits. When you crit, you roll all the damage dice for the attack twice, then add your modifiers once. So a great axe, normally 1d12 damage. On a crit, it's 2d12 plus your strength mod. If you have extra dice, like sneak attack, those get doubled too.
Rolling handfuls of dice.
Ah.
Awesome. Now, there are loads of damage types. Fire, cold, slashing. Do they matter?
They definitely can. Some creatures have resistance to certain damage types. That means they take only half damage from that source. Others might have vulnerability, meaning they take double damage from that type.
Oh, double damage.
Yeah, so hitting a fire-vulnerable creature with a fire spell, very effective. Hitting a fire-resistant creature, not so much. Resistance and vulnerability apply after all other modifiers, and you can't stack them. You either have resistance vulnerability to a type, or you don't.
So knowing your enemy's weaknesses is key. How about getting those hit points back? Healing.
Healing restores lost hit points. Spells, potions, abilities add the healed amount to your current HP, but never above your maximum HP. Any extra healing is just loss.
You can't overheal.
Nope. And crucially, if you're at 0 HP and unconscious, normal healing brings you back, usually to the amount healed, but you need to be brought back first.
Okay, damage down, healing up to max. Pretty clear. But what happens at 0 HT? That sounds bad.
It is. 0 HP is the brink. Two things can happen: instant death or falling unconscious. Instant death happens if the damage that takes you to 0 also has enough leftover damage equal to or greater than your maximum HP.
Example.
Okay, say your max HP is 25. You're at 5 HP. You take a massive hit for 30 damage. That takes you to 0, with 25 damage left over. Since 25 equals your max HP, boom, instant death.
Yikes. Okay. What if it's not that much damage?
If the damage takes you to 0 but isn't enough for instant death, you fall unconscious. You're down, helpless, and in trouble.
Unconscious. What happens then? Am I just out?
Not necessarily out for good. At the start of each of your turns while you're at 0 HP, you make a death saving throw. It's just a D20 roll, no modifiers.
Okay. What's the target?
DC 10. Roll 10 or higher, that's 1 success. Roll 9 or lower, that's 1 failure. Get 3 successes, you become stable. You're still unconscious at 0 HP, but you're not dying anymore. Get 3 failures, you die.
3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah.
Literally. Do they have to be consecutive?
Nope, they just add up. You might succeed, then fail, then succeed. Yeah, it's a tally. But rolling a natural 1 on the D20 counts as 2 failures. Really bad luck.
Oh, man.
But rolling a natural 20, you instantly pop back up with 1 hit point. You're conscious again.
Wow. High stakes. What if I take damage while I'm down?
Taking any damage while at 0 HP automatically causes 1 death saving throw failure. If the damage was from a critical hit, that's 2 failures. And remember, if that damage itself is enough to cause instant death, equal to or exceeding your max HP, you die immediately.
So getting hit while down is really bad. How can my friends help? Besides healing me.
They can try to stabilize you. Use their action. Make a DC 10 Wisdom Medicine check on you. If they succeed, you become stable.
Same as rolling 3 successes myself.
Yep. You stop making death saves, though you're still unconscious at 0 HP. You'll naturally regain 1 HP after 104 hours if no one heals you sooner. But if you take damage while stable, you become unstable again and start making death saves on your next turn.
Okay, so stabilizing buys time. What about monsters? Do they make death saves?
Usually, no. Most DMs just have monsters die at 0 HP to keep things moving. But for a major villain or an important NPC, the DM might decide they follow the player rules, fall unconscious, make saves. Adds drama.
Right, and sometimes we don't want to kill the enemy. Can we knock them out?
Absolutely. When you reduce a creature to 0 HP with a melee attack, you can choose to knock them out instead of kill them. You have to declare it right when you deal the damage. They fall unconscious and are automatically stable at 0 HP.
Good for taking prisoners. Okay, one more HP thing. Temporary hit points.
Temp HP. Think of it like a buffer, an extra layer of protection. When you take damage, you lose temporary HP first. Any leftover damage then hits your real HP.
Can they stack?
Nope. If you get temp HP while you already have some, you have to choose which pool to keep you running. Don't add them together. Healing doesn't restore temp HP, only real HP. And getting temp HP when you're at 0 doesn't wake you up or stabilize you, though they will absorb damage taken while you're down. They usually last until they're gone, or until you finish a long rest, unless the effect says otherwise.
So a useful shield, but not real healing.
Got it. Okay, change of pace. Horses. Mounted combat.
Mounted combat can be great for speed. Getting on or off a mount costs half your movement speed.
Okay.
If your mount gets knocked prone, you have to make a DC 10 dexterity save or fall off yourself, landing prone. You can use your reaction when it falls to try and land on your feet, needing another DC 10 dex save. Same save if the mount is moved against its will.
A bit risky. How do I control the horse? Does it just do what I want? 2 options. If it's a trained mount, like a warhorse, you can control it. Its initiative matches yours, you act on the same turn, you tell it where to move. Its actions are limited, though, usually just dash, disengage, or dodge.
Okay, limited but reliable.
Or you can let it act independently. It keeps its own initiative, acts on its own turn, can do whatever it normally could, but it might not do exactly what you want. If your mount provokes an opportunity attack while you're riding it, the attacker can choose to target you or the mount.
Choices. Okay, last environment. Underwater. Fighting beneath the waves.
Underwater combat has penalties. If you don't have a swimming speed, melee attacks have disadvantage unless you're using a dagger, javelin, short sword, spear, or trident, things that work better underwater.
Okay, weapon choice matters. Ranged.
Ranged attacks are worse. Automatically miss beyond normal range. Even within normal range, you have disadvantage, unless it's a crossbow, a net, or specific thrown weapons like javelins or tridents. Bows are pretty much useless.
Good to know.
And anything fully underwater has resistance to fire damage. Makes sense.
Yeah, hard to keep a fire going down there. Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground or water. Let's recap the big stuff.
Absolutely. So combat runs in rounds about 6 seconds. Everyone gets a turn based on initiative. Your turn is movement plus one action, maybe a bonus action if you have one, plus free interactions.
Right.
Actions are key. Attack, cast spell, dash, disengage, dodge, help, hide, ready, search, use object. Knowing those gives you options. Movement rules, difficult terrain, prone, squeezing. Opportunity attacks are vital for positioning.
And attacking.
Attacking is D20 plus mods versus AC. Remember, crits and fumbles. Ranged versus melee differences, especially being near enemies. Special attacks like grapple and shove, using cover.
And hit points. Damage reduces them, healing restores them, up to max. 0 HP means unconsciousness and death saves, unless it's instant death. Temporary HP is a buffer.
Exactly. Understanding all that really helps you make smarter choices and, honestly, have more fun in combat.
Yeah, hopefully this deep dive has cleared things up and maybe sparked some ideas for you. Whether you're playing or running the game, getting these mechanics down makes everything more engaging, more thrilling.
Definitely. Which makes me wonder, now that you've got a better handle on all these options for actions, bonus actions, movement, reactions, how could you combine them in really creative ways? How could you use the ready action or make the environment itself to pull off something unexpected in your next fight?
Ooh, good question to ponder. What clever tactics could your party come up with using surprise or movement before the fight even properly starts? Think about that.
Yeah.
And hey, we'd love to hear your best D&D combat stories. Or if you still have questions about rules or maybe some cool tactics you've used, drop them in the comments below.
Please do.
And if you like this deep dive into D&D combat, definitely hit that like button, subscribe for more D&D goodness. Let us know what else you want us to explore.
Yeah, tell us what's next.
Thanks so much for joining us on this adventure today. Until next time,
Huh?
may your dice roll ever in your favor.